everybody running Ankh, and it makes you very tanky having 300 con. So and it's noticeable. Like as a disruptor, you can tell a difference hitting a healer that's got that versus something else. And then if we look at our weapon setups, so not really anything to say about the rapier. Rapier's still the primary offhand weapon. There's not really room right now for other offhands in a competitive war. Some people, well, I'll take that back. There is some room for Ice Gauntlet. Some people do like to run the Ice Gauntlet. I'm a fan of it in certain scenarios and setups, and I'll talk about that in a minute as well. As far as your life staff, so there's obviously the few varied builds that you can run. So there's your traditional build that people run for most groups, which is this right now. You can shift some of this around if you want. Like if you don't want Chains of Justice, you think you're going to be healing players that are on the point more, then Rebound is really nice to take. Obviously the few varied builds that you can run. So there's your but if you don't traditional take Rebound, you can take in Chains of Justice and Balance. So it's like a kill squad healer. This is the build that I run because I'm not likely to be healing people that are on the point, so it's less likely that I'm going to get that second bounce from DE. If you like to run a double single target build, then obviously you drop that. And you take this build. You have to take Spirits United, so the only reason I'm mentioning it is because I've seen healers. I just watched somebody like not select this in the build. This is important because it counts as a healer buff. That's important because it gives your Light's Embrace an extra 20% heal, just for having that buff. So that's your double single target build, and then AoE. Which I know is not very applicable for most. And then Intensify, or you can drop this Speed of Light for Balance, or for Blissful Touch. Sorry, this is going to be a more normal build for this. I don't recommend Speed of Light personally, just because some people do run Alacritous Punishment. Extra haste means extra people taking damage from Alacritous Punishment, so not super great for the AoE healer to have that. And then for your normal like beacon healers that are healing bot quads, you can run this. I'm not a big fan of Intensify because it's just something extra you got to keep up with. So you can run Rebound or Enchanted Justice or Balance. Rebound's probably going to be technically your better choice. I should probably build my thing real quick.
Achilles?
Yeah.
Can you check the roster to see if I'm still slotted?
I reslotted you.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
You gave me the...
Yeah.
For Ice Gauntlet, so if you decide to run Ice Gauntlet, which I think is really, really strong inside a fort, and you're really comfortable with it, there's a couple of builds, but the main one that you're going to see anybody running the Ice Gauntlet use is this one.
Fricks.
Yes.
Thank you. An answer to any of the DMs would have been great. Thank you. Sorry.
We're having a healer review. Would you please calm down?
I'll leave.
I will fight you right
now. This is a really solid build for healer setup. Ice Pylon's really nice because it can eat abilities. You can kind of hide in it. You get extra fortify from sitting in the frost effect from it. And let's see if I have an Ice Gauntlet on me. I don't know if I have one on hand on this account. I do not. But what I really like about Ice Gauntlet and Fort, one, you get Tomb for an extra cleanse, but also you should usually be healing on like the front walls or the like those stairs back there or up on the stage, and having Shower to like block off stairs and choke points is really nice for peeling for yourself and choking off points for your teammates as well. So if like you're a kill squad healer, you're most likely going to be sitting up here most of the war, so it's really useful for that. Like I said, the cleanse is really, really nice, and being able to like avoid CC and stuff with the Tomb is cool too. Outside Fort, I don't really recommend it that much unless you're like crazy good. and comfortable with it. I've only seen a couple of healers actually use it, and I haven't used it outside of Fort in a very long time. Rapier's just still the go-to. Let's see. So I'm going to talk about fort positioning and stuff a little bit since I'm already inside the fort. So I think this is really, really important where most healers mess up. And it kind of, like, fort positioning applies to both attack and defense. So basically, stay out of dirt as much as you possibly can. As someone who plays Disruptor on multiple servers and different varying levels of competitiveness, this is a horrible place to be. Sitting down here, it just makes it really, really hard for you to play life, and it makes you a really easy target for anybody sitting on the walls, especially if you're on attack. If you're a healer and you're breaching a fort, you should be looking to get in and get up as quickly as possible. So whether that's climbing up here and getting up here and healing from here, or if the front walls are safe, getting up on top of the walls and healing from the walls, or getting in and going to the left, getting up these stairs. You can heal from here for a moment, or somewhere that's usually pretty safe and I like is healing from here. On these stairs, it gives you some cover from up above, and it gives you cover from down below, and it's really easy. You know, people can only come at you from those two spots, so it's really easy to see that and to play against it. And the nice thing about playing up on the walls, outside of not being vulnerable to attacks from above, is you have really good opportunities to peel for yourself. So if people start coming up the stairs, I can run up here, and I can run back, I can run around. If there's, let's say there's a group up here, then I can just jump off the back wall and come back inside if I need to. Which is a pretty common trick that I pull off. Or you can like hide around these things and kite a little bit, or you can even kite on these towers if you need to, and walk around these. Lots of little nice, neat tips and tricks when it comes to fort play. I haven't really used this very often in wars, but healing from under here, especially on defense, is actually kind of nice. If you're healing the anchor group, makes you safe. So if somebody comes in, let's say anchor group comes in or kill squad comes in, and they're like, oh, let's get anchor healer, this is a good spot to sit, because you're pretty protected and it's hard to get to you. Or of course sitting up here, healing from here, knowing where your heals can reach as well, really useful. I definitely highly recommend any healers who are trying to get like more comfortable with fort phase, because fort phase, especially on attack, is the hardest thing for a healer. Finding all the places you can sit and how far your heals reach. You can see my sacred ground reaches to the top left of the point, or whatever that quadrant of the point, pretty easily from here. That's as far as like single targets and clap and things like that go to. Some other common places that aren't super great, but definitely used by some people. Sitting in here and healing from here. As long as you're paying attention, you don't get stuck in here. Taking advantage of under here for a moment if you need to. I got a really one of my favorite clips from a VOD like a year and a half ago or whatever, where I live with like 140 HP with all the muskets and stuff, all those F-ballers muskets and whatever, and Astrovert and all them shoot me from the walls. And I pop under here, top myself off, run across here, get against this wall, heal myself, and take advantage of the line of sight as much as I can. Line of sight is going to be your biggest friend inside of the fort, staying alive.
Hey, Dusty, sorry to interrupt. Can you change your stuff to 720? It's getting all like...
It
red.
is? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Do this. Change quality, 720. There we go.
Thank you.
Yep. So yeah, so those are all pretty good places. Stage, obviously, if it's like super clear, is a good place to heal as well if you need to. Defense, it's a little bit better to heal from the stage because it's less likely that there's people up on the walls shooting at you. So you have to keep that in mind. I don't heal from stage a ton myself, just because it's easy to get shot at from all over the place and people collapse on you, and you don't have a lot of escape paths because you can't go back here. Going this way, you're going to run into respawns or people coming from back gates most likely, and going down into hell is just a death sentence. Like, most of the time, it's going to be really hard to live down here for very long. Playing around these dummies can be a little nice, because a disruptor, when they go to leaping strike you, 99% of the time it's going to hit this dummy instead of you. Same with any other abilities that like sword and shield users use, are going to prio those dummies. So that's a kind of a good way to peel for yourself. Standing on ledges like this and healing as you fall off the ledges, really, really like good tech to use because you can get the heal off while still kiting for yourself because they can't melee attack you midair, obviously, and ranged DPS are going to really have a hard time tracking you as you're falling. So what'll often happen is, like, let's say I'm fighting up here on the wall and I got a kill squad behind me chasing me, and then I'm running across this wall and there's another kill squad, like, on, usually they're either on top of B or on the other side, and they're making their way this way, and I find myself up here. Well, I can just heal as I fall off, move, get back up, rotate around, and then get back up on the wall because most of them jumped off after me. Or jumping off the wall and getting back into the fort through here. If the gate's free, just getting back in around the corner. Same with the other gates as well. Obviously, you can jump off the wall if you need to. Jumping corners is really, really useful for self-peel as well. So taking advantage of spots like this to peel for yourself. You can do this at any of the corners. Really, really helpful for keeping yourself alive inside of the fort and making people like miss abilities and stuff.
There's
You're really lucky
skill
they'll
gap
try.
wraparound too.
What was that?
The skill gap wraparound when you jump on the towers, the corner post of the towers.
Yeah, I showed them that. Showed that
No, I
earlier.
was not looking.
Yeah, so just for anybody that may have missed it, going around these towers, you can do this to any of the 4 towers in the fort. Not a whole lot of opportunities to use that, but I've done it from time to time.
Open world rat strats right there.
Yeah, and it works in here too. Very useful for peeling for yourself. Again, not a whole lot of opportunities to use that specifically, but it works. For defense, if you got like people pushing out of the gate, you know, this is a decent spot to heal from. Obviously, you have to let your group know, like, hey, I'm healed from this tower, so don't get like right under me, because as you can see, it's really, really hard to, you know, lots of line of sight issues. But you can heal a pretty wide range out here and be really safe. Or
you
obviously,
can't get scorpion stung.
You can't get scorpion stung up there. Yeah, you can here, but up there, that little ledge will save you. So it's really nice for that. You know, going under spots like this, you got to be really careful in this spot and around here though, because there's all these stupid little holes that you can get caught in that are really annoying. Makes it kind of a pain, but yeah, that's generally fort phase. Defense, I don't find any reason for most healers to never, you know, you should pretty much always be on the front wall. For kill squad healers, what I often do is I'll sit up here and I'll let my group know, like, hey, I'm healing from the front wall. If you need me, let me know, but I'll be above B gate. And then I sit above B gate and I just heal all the point team players and quad players that are sitting around the point. If they need help, or I help the groups that are getting in through the gates, whether it's attack or defense, and I'll heal there. And then if my group needs a heal, then I'll make sure that they tell me where they're at, and I'll toss them a heal wherever they are, and they always know where I am. Anybody have any questions about fort? Okay, sweet. Now, as far as outside of fort, hold up.
If you actually do have questions, he will not. He's not gonna be a dick about it. If you have a question, just legitimately ask. Keebs will help you.
100%.
Would you be willing to be a dick about it if we wanted you to?
I don't think I could if I wanted to.
Yes.
Man up, get real.
Outside of fort, so this is obviously not the same terrain you're going to see in every fort, but taking advantage of the actual terrain is really, really huge for healers. Doing things like sitting inside of bushes and healing from inside of them, you're much harder to see inside of these things. I do this all the time. It's really useful. Taking advantage of things like trees, as long as you're not getting stuck on them yourself. Really easy way to peel for yourself. Running through things like this, or I don't think this map has one, but I can get the point across with this fence over here. One of my favorite tricks for dealing with disruptors and flamethrowers is taking advantage of fences and dead trees that are laying on their side in a war map and just jumping over them. Really great way to feel. If someone's sitting here flamethrowing you, vaulting is going to make them stop casting flamethrower. They're going to slow down. So jumping over these walls, and I'll even go back and forth on them. I got a disruptor on me. I'm like, all right, well, I'll just keep jumping over this wall. You can't do anything to me. Oh, drop a sacred on my teammate. Jump back over the wall. jump back over the wall, clap. All right, now I'm gonna roll over here, jump back over the wall, and now I just peeled for myself. Really, really well. They couldn't do anything. They got really frustrated and tilted and ran off to go do something else. Same with things like the bonfire. Bonfire is a really, really great tool to peel for yourself, especially if you have ranged DPS hitting you like those nasty bolt casters or fire staffs. Being able to go around these things and heal yourself goes a long way. Obviously the tree is really good for line of sight for that too. Something else I'll do, so let's say I'm like kill squad healing and I'm on the right side of point because I'm part of like the inner lane kill squad, then taking advantage of the ramparts as long as they're not like way over flooded with players and being able to come back here and like play my life with this, toss a heal out there on a teammate and then come back here and heal myself if I need to, splash a light, and making sure that they don't have line of sight on me and only popping out to actually throw heals, really huge. As a kill squad healer, I don't left click a whole lot because I don't have as many targets to hit, and it's just better for me to kind of play my life and pay attention to my surroundings so that I don't get flanked and jumped on like crazy. So some things that I do to help myself out besides just positioning is while I'm casting, I'll turn my camera, because if I'm targeting somebody that's like out here, that cast is still going to go off. I don't have to be looking at them. So if I cast that while I'm casting, I'll be obviously moving my character as slow as they go, but I'll be looking around behind me and making sure like, oh, I don't have somebody over there. Okay, cool. I'm not getting flanked. Splash of light, I can do the same thing. Sacred ground, same thing. So like making those camera adjustments while you're healing, really, really big for knowing if you've got, you know, a 5-stack of kill squad that's about to flank in your backline and jump on you, a couple disruptors that just respawn because, you know, you're part of the bot right quad group, or you're the kill squad that's sitting on this side of the road, or any part of this half, and all the respawns are coming in from B, so you're sitting here and everybody's always coming in from these ramparts. Well, that's where I want to pay attention to for the most part. So while I'm sitting here healing the people that are on the point, I'm looking over there, making sure that there's nobody coming, and then I'm usually better postured for keeping myself alive. Common mistake I see everybody make, not just healers, is proper consume usage. One thing that's going to help you a lot when you get a disruptor on you is popping your cleanse pot pretty much as soon as possible. So when they get on you, let's say a disruptor uses leaping strike on you and they go to stun you, but you have a cleanse pot up, then they're not putting any slows on you, they're not putting any stuns on you or any other debuffs. Well, slows will still apply because it's bugged, but all those other debuffs that they be putting on you, rends and whatnot, that all is not going to apply to you. So it gives you a really good buffer for playing your life and getting away from them. Don't be afraid to sacred yourself if you have to and dance around in your sacred. Another common mistake I see a lot of healers do is they'll drop sacred on the ground and then they do this and they run away. What good is that sacred doing? Nothing. You literally use it for no reason. If you really feel like you need to reposition that bad, then maybe toss the sacred ahead of yourself and get over to it and then immediately start casting a divine embrace. So the other thing I'll see healers do in conjunction with that is they just kind of run around like a chicken with their head cut off, and they'll do this. So let's say I'm sitting here healing in pot left, right? I'm on defense, and their kill squad reps in through the ramparts back here, and then a disruptor sees me. I'm sitting here healing. I just dropped a sacred ground up there, and then he hits me. Okay, so I'm gonna do this, and I go way over here, and let's say that whole time I was like getting nuked by bows or something, or I run into some other people over here, I'm going to start healing myself. I'm not going to waste time just running around doing nothing. But a lot of healers will do that. They'll just walk around and they'll just sit here. Okay, I'm just going to keep running. I'm going to keep running. And the whole time they're getting nuked. They're not popping consumes. They're not casting Divine Embrace. They're not doing anything but getting crapped on. And the next thing you know, they're dead. And then let's say I don't make it that far, right? Let's say I get hit and I flush A away, roll, do this, and then they're still hitting me, then it's not that bad of an idea. If I have sacred, drop it on myself, and then just do this. I'll jump out of it, roll back in, immediately start casting. Jump out for a second, roll back in, immediately start casting. Being really, really quick on starting your cast timers and getting those casts off is going to go a long way. And then be ready for them to watch for that cast time, because they're going to look to disrupt you. that's what they do, they're disruptors, then that's a good opportunity to riposte them. Or pop to your other rapier abilities and rapier away. Try to bait abilities. So disruptors will try to like bait your cooldowns. They'll try to get your riposte out of you, your Flèche, your stone form. Those are all the things those are the three main things disruptors are looking for when they're pressuring you, and that's their like kill windows once they've burned all those cooldowns on you. So you can do the same thing to them. You can try to bait their cooldowns. So things like shield bash and shield rush. You can start casting and then immediately go into a blocking animation. I know blocking is not like the best thing. You could do that if you wanted to. If you still use block, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. Only reason I even have it bound is because I play disruptor, and it's annoying to swap back and forth between my different builds. Or you could do this and then immediately cancel it or roll away so they can't like interrupt your cast, and then start casting it again because they're gonna use their ability thinking they're gonna get you. And you're baiting them out. Being really careful with your riposte also goes a long way. So don't like try to use riposte when someone's in the middle of an animation they can't cancel. So things like Skyward Slash, Shield Rush, Leaping Strike, Steadfast Strikes, Cyclone, Maelstrom, Shockwave, blah blah blah. Get the picture. Anything that's got like an animation time that they're locked into that they can't cancel, that's the prime time to use riposte, is when they're in the middle of that, because it's going to guarantee you get it off. Or waiting until the last possible second to use riposte, so that way you hit them again when they can't cancel whatever they're doing. But somebody just left clicking you with their sword and shield, and they're just doing light attacks on you, and you go to riposte, they're gonna be like, oh sweet, they burned their riposte, now I can hit them with my CC abilities. They're gonna look for that, because if they've already, like, let's say they haven't done anything but left click you and you riposte and they bait it, now they're gonna try and stun you. Now they're gonna try and do other things to you, and like, okay, crap, they burned my riposte, they baited it and it didn't hit them, so now I need to evade and Flèche away. Well, if they haven't used something like Leaping Strike yet, or if they're running Scorpion Sting and they haven't used their Scorpion Pool, now they've got you. They've baited your Flèche, and now they can just Leaping Strike after you, or they can pull you with their Scorpion Jab Pool, right? So timing those abilities as well, unless it's like an absolute dire situation where if I don't use this right now, then I'm dead, no matter what, try to save those cooldowns as much as you can. Until you know that you can use them safely. Because if they like use one of those abilities, one of their gap closers, like Leaping Strike, which is the only one most of them even have, if they use that, like if they open that with you, all you got to do is Flèche away and then take a few steps, make sure they're not still chasing you, and then get the healing. They can't keep up with you. There's just no way. Especially being in heavy armor. They just don't have the mobility and they don't have the gap closers to do it. Another really important aspect to kiting that I see a lot of players in general, not just healers, do, is, again, let's say I'm sitting here healing, someone jumps at me from behind, and for some reason I wasn't paying attention behind me where those rotations were coming in, and then they just run in a straight line. And then now they got those guys chasing them, but even worse, they got bows and fire staffs shooting the crap out of them, and they're a really easy target because they're just running straight. Legit, run all over the place. Roll here, jump over here. Roll backwards and jump all over the place. Jumping is really, really useful, and be super unpredictable with your movement. Don't just move in a linear fashion. Moving linearly makes it really, really easy for them to predict where you're going and to be able to punish you for it. So making sure that you're as unpredictable as possible when you're moving around makes it a lot harder for them to track you and hit you. And, moving in and out of things like this is how you stay alive. And while all this is going on, and part of the reason I think healer is one of the hardest roles in the game to play, particularly in wars, you also need to be communicating extremely well to your team. You can't just be sitting here silent and keeping everything a secret. You have to be calling your cooldowns out. You have to be saying, sacred under, I'll just say Achilles. So sacred under Achilles, right? Or I'll just say under Achilles, whatever verbiage you use, right? But make it apparent, like, okay, sacred, and then sacred's on a cooldown now, so I'm saying, all right, sacred's in 5. Oh, I got sacred in 2 seconds. obviously it's going to go faster because if you're main ball, especially, you're light attacking for cooldown. Excuse me. Calling out splash light, or I'll say clap or whatever. I'll call out my DEs. I'll say, all right, you got DE coming right now, DE on whoever, right? Calling out the name of the target, calling out the time on your DE. All right, DE's got 2 seconds left, or 3 seconds left, or 1 second left, or whatever. You don't have to call every second, but giving them periodic updates on those cooldowns, especially when there's pressure going on, also goes a long way. If you're playing Kill Squad, holding your Sacred Ground for whenever your Disruptor calls for it, if y'all are synced up enough, so that way you don't drop a Sacred Ground here, and your Disruptor's like, whoa, but I'm chasing this guy that's way out here, so I'm going to run way out here, and now that Sacred's way back there doing nothing, and you still have, 5-6 seconds on your Sacred Ground, and they don't have a Sacred to play off of. Lately, I've been leaning a little bit more, especially for the wide Kill Squad group, for the healer to use the Sacred for themselves or their bow players instead. Disruptors should generally be good enough to keep themselves alive, and they don't really get attacked all that much, and they're super tanky. So often what happens is what I just said, where I'll drop a Sacred on a Disruptor, and they'll just run off. They've got things to do. They're constantly moving. Your bows and yourself tend to be a little more stationary and just need the Sacred Ground a little bit more. And if you drop a Sacred on yourself or your bows, especially if it's on your bows, if I'm up here healing and there's Disruptors on my bows right there and I drop a Sacred on my bows, all they got to do is dance around in that Sacred while I pump them with DEs. They're not going to die most of the time. Calling out when you're playing life goes a huge way, so letting your team know that they're not getting heals. So if I'm healing my group and I got a couple or a Kill Squad just rolls up on me suddenly, like, play life, I got 3 on me, play life, or I need pills, but taking it a step farther and saying, I need peels back left ramparts. I need peels in Oppo. I need peels by bonfire in the fort. I need peels above C gate, above A gate, in A dirt, by the dummy, A dummies, C dummies. Extending those comms to be more specific about where you are is absolutely crucial because this game's UI is really, really horrible. So it's like if I'm sitting back here as a healer and I'm healing, and I call out, I need peels. Okay, so now let's put myself in my DPS's perspective. And I'm sitting here DPSing. Let's say this boar's like the clump I'm fighting, right? I'm like sitting here fighting this clump, and my healer, who's way back there, says, I need peels. I'm like, okay, cool. There's like 50 people, and I can't see where you are. Where do you need peels? Because you could be healing from over there. You could be healing from bonfire. You could be in bot right. You could be literally anywhere healing. But if I'm sitting here fighting in top left and you say, I need peels, bot right. Oh, okay, cool. Let me get in, or bot left. Okay, cool. Let me get into bot left and peel for you. There you are. And now I can get all those guys off you. And then healers in the same breath, like, let's say you do need to kite and get peels. Okay. If I'm sitting here healing and I know my group is, wherever, let's say they're in that top left spot and I need peels and I'm at bot left, I'm not going to run this direction asking for peels super far away from my DPS. That's not going to help me. I'm not going to run back up here towards the fort if I'm wanting peels specifically and I don't think I can peel for myself. If I want peels, I'm going to run to my teammates, whichever one it is. Hopefully your like VGIG or whoever you got in your group is going to come peel for you, or maybe one of your bruisers. But I'm going to pull those Disruptors closer to them. And then if I don't think my group members can peel for me, then one form of self-peeling is just bringing it closer to point. Bringing it closer to point, much less likely a Disruptor is going to follow you to a clump fight. You don't have to go into the middle of a clump, but getting close to it, and then maybe even like skirting across the edge of the point is a really good way to peel for yourself. It's something you're going to see all the really high level like Castle, Steel, and Marama healers do. In like the bigger companies, that's the kind of stuff that they're going to be doing to keep themselves alive, rather than putting yourself on an island. It's part of the reason that the wide Kill Squad group healer has such a hard time, is because they're way out here by themselves with nobody to help them out other than their 5-stack. But if I'm bot left quad healer or what are the other healers, I'm not running out in the middle of nowhere to peel for myself, because then you're just getting yourself isolated. You're nowhere in range to give your team heals. You're not going to get peels, and those disruptors are just going to chase you off forever, and then your group's going to die, or they're going to kill you, and then your group's going to die. For healers, number one. So does anybody in here know, from a healer's perspective, who your number one priority target is over anybody else?
Yourself.
Yourself, 100%. You are more important than literally everybody in the armory. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You are the most important person, which is super counterintuitive to the typical healer mindset. I've been healing in MMOs for 25 years, which yes means I'm old. I've been doing this for a very long time. Normally it's like, I'm going to sacrifice myself for the greater good. I can keep everybody alive even if it means I die. Not in this game. This game, keep yourself alive, way more important than anybody else. Does anybody know what the next priority target is outside of yourself?
Another healer.
Other healer, absolutely, 100%. Other healers. So sorry to my disruptor, but if there's like, especially the point healer, if the point healer is right next to me and they're getting crapped on by some disruptors, say I'm sitting here healing from these rocks right here, and I'm part of Kill Squad, and we're healing, my group's like out here, right? In this area, and I drop a sacred for my disruptor or one of my bows or something, and I see a healer right here in front of me getting crapped on. I'm gonna tell my team, hey, I gotta heal this other healer. I gotta heal, so and so. They're gonna know who I'm talking about. So, I'm healing. Whatever, it doesn't matter.
That's good to know. That's good to know, because I felt guilty about stealing or taking a few of those heals for myself.
Yeah, no, it's because if you die, then your group's gonna die, almost guaranteed. You need to stay alive. If you lose one or two people in your group, let's say everybody in your group dies, all 4 people die. Guess what you can still do is heal literally anybody in your roster. Which you can still provide a ton of value doing that. Something I became very well known for was healing outside of my group. And it has a massive impact. There's not as much opportunity to do it in this meta, I don't think. I haven't had as much opportunity to do it. Especially in the wide kill squad fights. Usually you're very isolated, there's not a lot of people around, and you're just constantly having to pump out heals to your bows mostly, because they got just a ton of insane pressure. But don't be afraid to heal other healers. If it's a choice between one of my healers and one of my bows, I'm going to pick one of those other healers, because saving that one healer, this is my opinion, of course, but and my thought process is healing that healer means potentially saving an entire 5-stack versus that one bow in my group. That's one bow. So that 5-stack has much more value than that one bow does.
Or that fire staff, am I right, Achilles?
I don't know what you're talking about.
So leave him on your roster again.
He's the reason why I'm a fire staff, so blame Dusty.
I have 4 questions.
Go ahead.
All right. I was going to ask, on a breach, let's say you're on attack, how do you go about it? How do you commit to it, and what cooldowns do you use?
So that's actually a good question. And you can actually practice this really well in OPR. One of the few things I think you can practice well in OPR that translates a bit to war is getting, especially because I think it's worse than this, getting through that little choke in mid, or any of the forts, and there's a bunch of people there. I squeeze in there all the time. It kind of sucks because of the stupid gate. But what I'll typically do is, so you have to look at it from the perspective of gate anchor versus kill squad trying to squeeze in. If you're a gate anchor, don't drop the sacred. First of all, don't target sacred on somebody specifically if you can help it, on attack or defense. Free cast your sacred center of gate on defense, and then on attack, set the sacred a little farther in if you can help it, and let your team know that the sacred is in there, because they're not gonna stand here ideally and fight forever. They're gonna cleanse pot and push in a little bit, especially the bruisers. They're gonna try and push back here, because typically what happens is the gate anchors on defense, they let a couple DPS get in so they can try and pressure the healer whenever they try to get in, not let the healer and the supports get in. So placing a sacred just a little bit deeper, doesn't even necessarily have to be that far, but placing one in there so that they have somewhere to go to helps out a lot. And then again, if I'm healing, depending on where my group's assignment is, getting on this front wall, really good spot whenever you get in to heal from, if they're, because then you can just heal them right here, or getting up here and healing from up here and healing them, even staying a little bit closer over here and healing them so that people up above you can't see you as easily. Because if I'm out here, whoop, the guys up on that wall can shoot me. Obviously, sitting here, I'm a lot more open of a target. Anybody sitting over there can shoot me a lot more easily, but if I'm here, it's a little bit harder time because I got these stairs, and then I can heal there. And then if this is free, I really like to get up here because it's very easy to go uncontested. And when your group pushes their way in towards the point, towards hell, or if they push in a backstage to help the back gate, you know, you can heal a lot of places from up here. So this is a really fantastic spot when you're breaching the side gates to get up to as a healer and heal from. Or again, you can, partly depending on where your group assignment is and where your group's trying to go, you can get on this shop here and heal here, work your way up here, and then heal from up here and heal anywhere in hell and around here, help people breaching in. All really my favorite spots to heal from whenever breaching as a healer. And then if you're kill squad healer, then you know you kind of just have to go wherever your kill squad is. But on attack, I typically like to come up here first because it gives you the height advantage in the fort, and then you can work your way around. Because then you can come up here and you can see clear anybody that might be sitting up here, which isn't too often. That there's a lot of people up here, and then you can work your way around and you can see everybody in the entire fort just about, except for who's on the other side of this thing here. And then work your way around here, heal from back here in defensive posture. People can only come at you from two ways, here or here, as opposed to being able to get crashed on from literally anywhere down in dirt. So I can very easily see, oh, we got people coming in from behind us, or we have people coming in from in front of us above B gate or these stairs right here. So it's just a lot safer place to be. So yeah, when I'm kill squad, I typically crash up along those back stairs and get up against above that back wall. Unless my kill squad is trying to get right above B gate, and then I'll just come into the left and get up here and heal from up here. Healing from the tower is really nice because it's a good defensive spot, and if I have to, I can just jump right out. If somebody comes in there for me and peel for myself, but you can heal, you know, pretty far out from up here, including over here. Like you can drop your sacred in some pretty good spots from up here. And it's even easier when you have targeted healing, obviously. Any other questions?
I have another one.
Yep.
So when you decide to commit to breaching the gate as a healer, when do you start healing your group again?
Once I get into position. Don't try to do it on the way. So it should be understood, especially for kill squad, that you're kind of playing your life as best you can. Like maybe I'll pause if I see a safe spot to throw like a sacred up ahead, or I'll clap to heal everybody. But what I don't want to do is get in through the gate, there's a crap ton of stuff going on next to me, and then I'm like trying to DE people who are like line of sighting me like crazy, and then I'm sitting here doing this awkward thing that I see healers doing all the time, like, I promise I'll heal you in a second, I'm almost there, oh wait, nope, you're farther up the stairs, okay, now I gotta stop and run up here, and then I'm getting destroyed the whole time, or people are catching up to me. So I prioritize getting in and getting up, and then healing once people are up here. Everybody in your group should be good enough, in my opinion, to be able to get in on their own, as long as your gate's not like hard overwhelmed, right? In a somewhat even fight, in typical scenario, you should be able to pop cleanses, use things like stone form. Like, don't be afraid to pop stone form if you have to, if it means you get inside the fort. I do that pretty regularly. I'll stone form and flesh A through if I have to, just to make sure that I get back there. I'll calm all that in your group too. Be like, hey guys, we got to get up. I'll heal you when we get up there, right? Or hey, I can't heal you yet. Play life until you get up top or whatever.
I have a question.
Justin? Yeah, what's up?
What kind of gem split are you running?
Oh yeah, so this actually it kind of depends on the server and who you're fighting against. So this is what I have on this character: 10/5 strike, 20 thrust. 10 elemental, and then 16 lightning, and then I would run fire absorption potions. Unless I feel like they got a lot of lightning bows and I'm not getting hit by fire damage, then I'd swap to lightning. I still like having some thrust damage resistance because of spears, but I would probably, I just can't afford to right now, swap off a thrust protection AME to a like a lightning or fire protection AME. But lightning and fire are pretty high priority, in my opinion, with some strike and slash. If you have some slash conditioning, it's pretty solid. I don't think I have any on this character. Is really good for whenever you get hit by those like great swords and sword and shields. But just remember that like spears still do strike and thrust damage. Maybe not all bows are running the lightning bow, so some of them are going to still do thrust damage. Great sword technically does thrust damage as well, a little bit. Anyone else?
So you've, you're in Ordo. You fought us a couple times in some wars. What is it that our healers can be doing? What is it that you guys notice that we could be doing better? Not even necessarily our healers, but like, are we not protecting our healers well enough? Are our healers squishy? Are our healers like not doing well under pressure? What is it that we can be working on?
Man, that is such a big
I know.
and kind of loaded quite that the feel. I got a war in 2 minutes that's gonna be pulling, and I don't have enough time to cover that. But I think generally speaking, it feels like the groups don't stick together, and maybe I don't know. I'd probably have to watch some VODs to be honest, which I'm down to do. It's hard to say from my perspective because from my perspective, it's just like, oh, well, it's just an army diff. We just have more experience, right? We have more experienced players who've been doing this for longer, and we could all probably not talk the whole time and still like get a bunch of kills and perform better. But it may just be something else completely, but I wouldn't know because I don't have a perspective of you guys.
Gotcha.
I wouldn't mind watching some VODs if that's something that y'all are interested in. I'd like totally fine helping out with that and taking a peek at some healer VODs or disruptor VODs or whatever and seeing if there's anything that I could recommend or anything glaring that sticks out to me. But it's hard to say. I also, to be fair, haven't warred on Lilith in months. I just since everybody changed to an 8 p.m. Since we changed to an 8 p.m. window, I usually can't make that time frame. And Lilith Wars just also obviously haven't been happening like too terribly often.
I mean, I know a company that just switched their window to 10. That you could transfer to right now if you want.
Yeah.
But I know you said you had a war.
Yeah.
I don't want you to miss pool or anything like that. I do want to thank you again for helping. It was great. I hope that you guys raise their what is the word? Took it all in, and
of course.
Yeah,
Definitely much appreciated.
Thank you. Polls are going out, guys. So if you're not logged in, which I know a lot of people I see in here that just got kicked from